What's up, Hoops fans? It's Jax Riley, and today we're diving into the moment that didn't just shake the WNBA, it flipped the entire league narrative on its head. This wasn't just some teammate stepping in for a rookie. No, what Sophie Cunningham did when she went viral was nothing short of blowing up the league's biggest, most carefully protected lie. And the shockwaves are still hitting every corner of women's basketball right now. For months, the WNBA's been selling you the same story that Caitlin Clark's rough treatment is just normal rookie hazing, just your average welcome to the league bumps and bruises. They've been dismissing it as harmless, even telling you that any suggestion of targeting is just crazy conspiracy talk from overexcited fans. But Sophie Cunningham just burned that entire narrative to the ground, and she did it with receipts, with names, and with a kind of brutal honesty that the league never wanted you to hear. This wasn't a staged PR stunt. This wasn't calculated. This was raw, real, and it's got layers the WNBA is desperate for you not to see. So let me pull back the curtain and show you exactly what went down, because once you hear this, you'll never look at Caitlin Clark's rookie season the same way again. Before the 17th of June, 2025, Sophie Cunningham was exactly who most people thought she was: a gritty role player, a reliable shooter, a tough defender, and maybe the kind of player casual fans would scroll past without a second thought. Sure, she had a solid following, about 200,000 on TikTok, 350,000 on Instagram respectable, but far from mainstream stardom. She was grinding like countless others in the league, doing her job without making daily headlines. But then, in one single game, everything changed. It happened when Indiana was battling the Connecticut Sun, and Caitlin Clark was getting hammered possession after possession. We're talking elbows, shoves, cheap shots, the kind of relentless physical punishment you just don't see thrown at other stars in this league. Clark kept playing through it, clearly in pain, clearly frustrated, while the referees acted like nothing was happening. And then Sophie snapped. In that split second, she decided she'd had enough. She wasn't going to watch her teammate get bullied without a response. What happened next wasn't just a foul, it was a full-blown statement. Sophie stepped in, laid down a hard, uncompromising hit, and sent a message that exploded across the basketball world. Within 48 hours, she gained over 1 million new followers. Her jersey completely sold out, and she landed a podcast deal with Colin Cowherd's network. In one night, she went from dependable role player to cultural lightning rod. And here's the thing: it wasn't calculated. Sophie says that moment came straight from the gut, from months of built-up frustration. She wasn't thinking about going viral. She was thinking about protecting her teammate. What made this moment so explosive is that it wasn't just about Sophie sticking up for Caitlin Clark in one heated game, it was about what she exposed in the process. Because right after that foul, Sophie let the world in on something the WNBA absolutely did not want public. She revealed that for months, there had been quiet, behind closed doors conversations in locker rooms across the league about toughening up Caitlin Clark. And we're not talking about normal rookie hazing or competitive trash talk. We're talking about actual planning. Sophie admitted she knew about these discussions firsthand, especially from her time with the Phoenix Mercury, where players openly talked about proving Clark, showing her what the W really is, and making sure she didn't have it easy. Let that sink in. That's not random intergame chippiness. That's coordinated targeting. And according to Sophie, it was fueled by something darker: jealousy, bitterness, and resentment toward the player who's brought in record attention, ratings, and money to the league. She even described her thought process in that split second against the Sun. She looked at Clark getting shoved around, looked at the refs doing nothing, and said to herself, "Forget it. I'm stepping in." That's when she delivered the hard foul that sent a message heard coast to coast. She got tossed from the game, hit with a $900 fine, and she didn't care for a second, because in her mind, someone finally had to say and do what everyone else was too scared to. And here's where Sophie's viral stand turns into something far bigger than one foul or one teammate defending another moment, because she didn't just call out the targeting. She ripped apart the league's biggest hypocrisy. Caitlin Clark is responsible for a staggering 26.5% alone of the WNBA's entire economic impact right now. Projections show she's driving almost $1 billion in value for the league in 2025 alone. $1 billion with a B. And yet her official salary? $78,000? $766? That's not even luxury car money. The same franchises cashing in on her name, her jersey sales, and the sold-out crowds are the same ones letting their players rough her up every night without consequences. Sophie didn't sugarcoat it, she said, flatty out. This is what we've always wanted for our league. So who cares who gets the credit? If you're smart, you're making money off her. And when people tried to say Clark isn't the face of the WNBA, Sophie snapped back without hesitation. If you think this league would be where it is without her, you're out of your mind. She made it crystal clear. Everyone is profiting off Clark's rise. The league, the teams, the players, the media, but when it comes time to actually protect her, suddenly there's nothing but silence. Or worse, they join in on taking shots. Sophie's message hit like a hammer. Why are we tearing down the very player who's saving the sport? And that question cuts even deeper when you start looking at what Sophie confirmed about the officiating, because this isn't just about a few hard fouls. This is about a pattern. Sophie made it clear she's not talking wild conspiracy theories here. She's talking about something every player sees with their own eyes. Opponents are grabbing Clark long after the ball is gone, shoving her out of bounds, fighting through screens with enough force to put her on the floor, and 9 times out of 10, there's no whistle. Meanwhile, Sophie knows that if she tried half that on another star, she'd be tossed from the game in minutes. As she put it, I don't even have a leash, just a collar with a hand yanking it. This isn't a one-game issue. This has been building for years, long before Clark even entered the league. Officials have already been letting certain players get away with far more physical play than others, and now Clark has become the main target. Sophie called it exactly what it is: the league's failure to protect its biggest draw. And the double standard is so obvious that even fans who barely follow the WNBA are calling it out. The bottom line? Clark's been taking this punishment night after night, and the only reason it's finally being talked about is because Sophie Cunningham put it on blast. And if you want to understand just how deep this runs, you have to hear about the moment after that Connecticut game that changed everything inside the Indiana Fever locker room. Sophie walks back in after getting ejected, and Caitlin Clark, bruised, still in pain, still frustrated, looks right at her and says one single word: finally. No speech, no explanation. Just finally. And that one word says it all. It means Clark had been waiting, hoping, praying for someone to step in and have her back. It means she'd been absorbing this treatment game after game, wondering when her own team would finally draw a line in the sand. Sophie's response was just as direct: I got you. And from that moment on, something shifted in Indiana. It wasn't just about protecting a rookie anymore, it was about setting a standard. Sophie became the first one to get in an opponent's face when things got too physical, making it clear that if you mess with Caitlin Clark, you go through her first. That attitude pulled the team together in a way no motivational speech or practice drill ever could. It told Clark and the rest of the league that the Fever weren't going to sit back and let their star be a punching bag anymore. And here's where the silence from the top starts screaming louder than any statement they could have made. After Sophie's viral moment, after she laid bare the targeting, the economic hypocrisy, the officiating double standard, the locker room plotting, what did the WNBA do? They fined her $900 and moved on like nothing happened. No investigation into her claims. No meeting about protecting star players. No public acknowledgement of the massive gap between Clark's value and her paycheck. Not even a hint that officiating standards might be reviewed. Just a token fine that Sophie laughed off, calling it a joke. And that silence? It tells you everything you need to know. Because if she was wrong, if the targeting was just a myth, if the officiating was fair, if the league wasn't cashing in while leaving Clark exposed, they'd be rushing to defend themselves. They'd be rolling out stats, statements, and damage control. Instead, they said nothing, which means Sophie hit so close to the truth that the only move left was to pretend it didn't happen. But fans aren't pretending. They saw it, they heard it. And thanks to Sophie, they now know exactly how deep the rot goes. Because what happened next proved Sophie Cunningham didn't just spark a viral moment, she ignited a cultural shift the WNBA can't put back in the box. Overnight, her following exploded from a couple 100,000 to more than 1.5 million on TikTok, over 1 million on Instagram, and her name was everywhere. The bodyguard memes, the enforcer nicknames, the fan edits, they weren't just for laughs. They were the public saying, finally, someone's saying what we've all been thinking. And that forced every player in the league to make a choice. Either keep quiet and risk looking complicit, or speak up and stand with her. Some doubled down on the targeting, others began quietly showing Clark more respect, but the temperature of the league had changed forever. Sophie had proved you could call out the truth, survive the backlash, and even thrive because of it. And the mainstream media couldn't ignore it either. Coverage poured in, jersey sales kept selling out, her podcast deal cemented her voice beyond the court. This was no longer about one hard foul in Connecticut. This was about an athlete taking control of the narrative, refusing to be silenced, and dragging the truth about the WNBA's treatment of its biggest star into the daylight for everyone to see. And that's the part the league still doesn't seem to understand. This isn't just about basketball anymore. Sophie Cunningham forced everyone to confront the ugly truth. The WNBA has been riding Caitlin Clark's wave to record ratings, sold-out arenas, and unprecedented national attention, while allowing a culture of resentment and targeting to fester unchecked. Even Fever leadership admits Clark is their foundational player, the engine driving the franchise's growth, yet instead of protecting her, they've let her be the nightly target of cheap shots and coordinated aggression. And here's the danger. If you alienate this fan base and Clark walks away, it's lights out. Sophie's stand wasn't a one-off moment, it was a warning shot to the entire league. How long do you think you can profit from someone you're actively trying to tear down before the whole thing collapses? Fans aren't stupid. They see the double standard, they see the lack of protection, and now thanks to Sophie, they know it's real. Her voice cracked open the door, and more players are starting to step through it. More fans are demanding accountability, and the media is asking harder questions. Sophie didn't just defend a teammate, she exposed a system. And once you expose the truth, there's no going back. The only question left is whether the WNBA will fix it or let it burn. So here's where we stand. Sophie Cunningham didn't just make a highlight reel play, she lit a fire the WNBA can't ignore. She exposed the targeting, she shredded the economic hypocrisy, she called out the officiating bias, and she put the league's silence on full display. And in doing so, she proved one undeniable truth. When someone finally has the courage to speak up, it gives everyone else permission to stop staying quiet. That's why her impact goes way beyond basketball. This is about integrity, it's about accountability, and it's about making sure the athletes who carry a league on their backs get the respect and protection they've earned. The question now is simple. Will the WNBA step up and fix this? Or will they double down on the silence and watch their credibility crumble? Because make no mistake, the fans are watching, the players are talking, and the clock is ticking. Sophie started the conversation. It's up to all of us to keep it going. So, if you stand with Sophie Cunningham, if you believe in protecting the players who are changing the game, drop a BNs in the comments, share this with every WNBA fan you know, and make your voice impossible to ignore. Because this fight, it's just getting started.